Hi, this is Travis Shaw with the Mosby Heritage Area Association, continuing the story of the road to integration, the long and tumultuous history of African American education here in the Heritage area. And I'm standing in Leesburg at the site of what was known as Leesburg School A, the Leesburg Technical School, or just the Leesburg School. This structure was built in the 1880s as a school for the Leesburg African American community. It was a simple 4-room building. And this would serve as an African American school from the 1880s all the way up until the middle of the 20th century. Now, the era of Jim Crow is going to be the era that I'm going to focus on, the end of the 19th century and the early 20th century. And this is an era where, we hear that term separate but equal from Plessy versus Ferguson. Well, this is where we really begin to see that these schools certainly are separate, but they are very, very much unequal to the educational resources that are being given to the white community here in Loudoun County and here in Northern Virginia. This school, in the early 20th century, as more and more schools are being built for the white community, this school is not rehabilitated, it's not kind of brought up to modern standards. So into the 20th century, it's going to lack running water, it is going to lack central heating, it's going to lack a lot of the facilities that the white schools here in Leesburg and in neighboring communities are going to have. Another area where this disparity is very clear comes in pay. Teachers, on average, black teachers are going to be paid less than half of what their white counterparts are going to be paid. The school system is going to spend 1/3 of the amount of money on each black student that it will spend on white students in the early 20th century. So again, we're not seeing anywhere near an equal application of resources across these communities. The facility itself does not meet the standards. Probably the biggest discrepancy we're going to see between black and white schooling is in access to secondary education. This school here was built as an elementary school. It was built to service students up to the 7th grade. In the early 20th century, there was no accredited school in Loudoun County for African American students. The closest accredited black high school was all the way in Manassas. So if African Americans wanted to attend school, they had to carpool out there. They had to find the time, the money, the transportation to get all the way out to Manassas just to have access to an accredited high school. In the early 20th century, there are some high school classes taking place here at the Leesburg School, Leesburg Training School. Upstairs on the 2nd floor, they're going to have some instruction, some education. In some cases, it's just first-year kind of classes, second-year classes. But for the most part, it appears that it only amounted to a few hours of instruction here and there, and it was not accredited. And the numbers are really stark. In 1916 to 1917, we know that 399 white students in Loudoun County had access to high school education, and there are 9 white high schools in the county. Only 10 African Americans are going to receive any sort of high school education in that same year. And in the most cases, it's going to be in kind of drips and drabs, small hours here and there at places like the Leesburg Training School. This school continues in use both as an elementary school and as kind of a part-time high school up until the late 1930s. The local NAACP, local African American community, concerned members of the black PTAs here in the county will start collecting money for the construction of a dedicated black high school here in Leesburg that will serve the entirety of Loudoun County. They will use this money to buy a patch of land on the east side of Leesburg, and in 1941, Douglas High School, named after Frederick Douglass, will open. And from that point on, there will be no more high school classes here at the Leesburg School, although this will continue to serve as an elementary school into the 1960s. Douglas High School is a whole nother story. Although the school is built in 1941, it's a whole legal process. They have to threaten the county with legal action to actually get a school built on the site. And even once construction is completed, the school is barely furnished. So again, the black community is going to have to raise money through private donations just to get the school fully furnished with the equipment that they need. Douglas High School will be the only African American high school in Loudoun County from 1941 up until 1968, when the county high schools are finally integrated. And to follow up on the story of integration, we'll be moving on next to the Warren County High School in Front Royal. Thank you.